let's go over some sweeps before we talk about the theory. Um, Pretty similar to last week's thing, just starting on the E string instead of the G string here. And we got this. As far as that last bit, well, we got to end it with something, and that sounded good to me. Next thing, we're going to add a finger to the shape you were doing. So, adding a note, adding a finger, really just adding an octave lower of the third interval. So, here's what we have. We got the fingers you're going to use underneath each tabbed note. And then we're going to do 4 downstrokes in a row. So you got your ring finger first, second, first. So it's the same shape you're doing with that F already, just adding the ring finger to start. And then just move that shape up for the G. A minor, starting with the ring finger. So far we're all starting these with, in fact all of them are going to start with the ring finger. So here we go, to A minor now. B diminished. C. D minor. And last we get the E minor. And that's that for sweeps. So if you get the hang of that, you can do what we did with 3 strings before. Like you can practice the majors all together. So you'd have like your F, G, C, G, F, G, C, G. Oh, I should have been looking at the fretboard. Anyway, F, G, C, G, F, G, C, and G. Yeah. Then you can do the same with the minors like we did before. So where we start at the E minor one, E minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, E minor, D minor, A minor, D minor. What? Fumbled the chord name and then I fumbled the sweep. And actually, these 4 strings ones are never. These are not ones that I actually practiced with learning how to sweep. I actually went from the 3 to the 5. But I figured we're going to fill in the gaps here with you, and maybe that'll make things better for you in the long run. So, try that again. You got the E minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, E minor, D minor, A minor, D minor. There you go. And then we do this. You can do the same thing you did with the diminished. So what we did was something like I think that's what it was. Basically, you're just moving that shape. You start with the B diminished, and then you slide it down 3 frets, bring it back up to the B diminished, and then slide it up 3 frets. So you can do the same thing with this shape as well. Let's do that again. And yeah, so I would, if you want to do more than what's written down, I would just add all those things in with the 4-string sweeps. So let's talk about the answers you gave. So you mentioned the, I just had this email open and then I closed it. Why did I do that? Let me bring it back up. Well, you talked about your A major and A sharp major. So looking at that, you do have, let's see, okay, so you did put, for your A major, which is correct, your A, C sharp, and E. So when you go through the major scale, remember all 7 note names must be accounted for. You cannot duplicate or leave any out. If you're duplicating a note, it means you've left one out anyway. And if you leave a note out, you're probably going to end up duplicating a note. What I mean by that is like having, for example, like a D and a D sharp, or having a D flat and a D sharp. Those are 2 different Ds. So you don't want to have, to do the theory rules correctly, you are not supposed to have more than one, or more than one note name. Like all 7 note names must be accounted for. That being said, I'm going to go through the notes of the A major scale. So you have your A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and then back to A. So, yes, the same thing applies like you're sharpening a major scale. So going from A major to A sharp major. Yes, all you do is sharp everything. This means you're just going to add a sharp sign to it all. So, if I was to sharp everything and go through it all, I mean, again, you have to account for all 7 note names. All 7. Every one of them. So you'd have A sharp to start with, then you would have B sharp, then you have to have C next. You have to use it. So that would be a C double sharp, because C is on the 8th fret, C sharp is on the 9th fret. If you sharp a C sharp, you get a C double sharp. This is one thing that I really love doing with students and trying to get them to figure this out on their own while I kind of talk them through it. So, you missed out. But, oh well. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe you realized what I was going to say while I was going up. Anyway, I guess it didn't really matter. You're going to learn it anyhow. I just didn't get to watch us struggle. Anyhow. So yeah, again, you have your A sharp, B sharp, C double sharp would be the appropriate note name, not D. Because if you say D, let's see, what did you name this for the A sharp major chord? Yeah, you put A sharp, D, and then F. So, saying A sharp, D, and then F is another way to look at it. You got those 7 intervals. So as A something is in the 1, even though it's A sharp, I'm just saying A something. So forget the sharps and flats right now. So A something's got to be in the 1, B something has to be in the 2, C something has to be in the 3, D something has to be in position 4 or interval 4, E something has to be in number 5, and so on. So I'm not skipping anything. A, B, C, D, so on. So that being said, you saying that D was the 3rd interval can't be true because you didn't use a C something. C something has to be in the 3. So in this case, it's a D, C double sharp. So even though you're on a D note, tone-wise, that's not the appropriate name. It's just one of those things about theory. I gave the same kind of answers when I was learning this stuff. But anyway, continuing on. So yeah, A sharp, B sharp, C double sharp, D sharp, E sharp. So no F. You haven't used the E yet. You gotta use it. So next would be F double sharp, and then the 7th note of an A sharp major scale would be G double sharp, bringing us back to A sharp. Most likely you would just be calling that scale B flat major. It makes a lot more sense because then you have B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B. Wait a minute. That wasn't right. You have B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. So anyway, this is kind of this is one of those things like, well, what if you just did call it that? What would you come up with? So it's really to make you think. So yeah, the correct answer for an A sharp major chord is A, C double sharp, E sharp. So looking at the A sharp chord, you have A, C sharp, and E. You just sharp all that. You have to keep all the stuff the same. Everything the same. Because if you go from A to A sharp, you know, again, talking about proper note names, you don't drop it down to or call it a B flat, even though it's the same tone. It's one of those things. You have to use the proper note name. And a lot of it again. Not again. We haven't talked about that yet. A lot of what you'll end up having, like the notes that spell out the chord, is going to be determined on what your root note is. And the same thing when we start naming chords. What you end up naming the chord, a lot of it will have to do with what you consider the root note. So, that being said, I mean, everything else was right. Everything else was good. So I will, which you'll probably see in the email already, that you're going to have minor chords to figure out. So let's go over that real quick on how to approach this. So let's say we start with A minor. We'll start with an A minor. So what I want you to do, good habit to build right now, just go through these steps. So you still start with your 1, which is A. Go up 1, 2, 3, and then flat that 3, and then you say, well, what is that note? So that's going to be a C. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then write down that note. So E. So A, C, E makes the A minor. So you're doing the same thing you did with the major triads. You start with the major scale shape, and then flat 3. Now, why do you not use the minor scale to start? Because you won't be able to practice flattening the third interval if you already start with the minor scale. The minor scale already has a flat 3. So technically, yes, you could use that to get all the notes, but you'll miss out on developing that good habit and that good foundation. So, go use the major scale, and just flatten that third after you go up 3 steps in the major scale, and just write down those 3 notes. So, if you have any questions about what I have gone on about here, let me know. But I will see you again in a week.